Good afternoon. Before we start the event, we would like to greet all our participants who are with us today via Facebook Live and YouTube for the DOST-ASTI Technology Transfer Webinar. I am Nicole Chavez and I will be your moderator for today. Before we start, we would like to give everyone a brief overview about our institute, what we do, and some of the R&D projects we work on. So please watch this video. Again, a pleasant day to everyone. Today's event, the DOST-ASTI Technology Transfer Webinar, aims to highlight ASTI's new technologies ready for commercialization in 2020. It also aims to conduct a series of presentations and discussions by the respective project managers from DOST-ASTI. We would like to remind everyone that you may send us your questions to our resource speakers by typing them in the comment section. Our moderators will be relaying them to the speakers and will be responding real-time throughout the live stream. For everyone's reference, now flashed on the screen is our program for today. We will start off presentations on DOST-ASTI developed technologies from our ASTI researchers, followed by a presentation on technology transfer and commercialization procedures. Afterwards, we will be witnessing testimonials from our licensees, as well as a TLA signing. Again, if you have any questions for our speakers, you may send them through the chat pane or via the comment section, and our moderators will respond to you as we go through our program for today. Welcome to our participants streaming this event. The DOST-ASTI's commercialization activities are led by its Technology Licensing Office. It aims to bridge the DOST-ASTI's technologies and the Filipino people. The Technology Licensing Office, or the TLO, is a unit in the DOST-ASTI in charge of the commercialization, licensing, and technology transfer activities of the agency. To formally open this event, let us proceed with the different DOST-ASTI developed technologies and further understand what it is all about. Just a reminder to our participants, you can ask questions in the chat sections after each speaker. Our first resource speaker will be talking about the Enterprise Resource Planning or ERP system. She is a Project Development Officer 1 at the Knowledge Management Division of the DOST-ASTI. Her current engagements include working with the project management team under the Management Information Systems Unit and the Enterprise Resource Planning team of ASTI. She also develops ERP user manuals and information database, orients new staff on the use of ERP, and monitors and documents project progress. Please welcome Ms. Angelica Maripaz.
So today I'll be discussing the Enterprise Resource Planning System, which aims to provide an IT solution to our government's different processes. So before I discuss the system in detail, let me give a brief context po. So the reality in the government is that only 2.3% of our electronic government services are for internal use. So this was based on a DICT survey conducted in 2018. So in the context of DOST, we also conducted a survey late last year in preparation for the development of the HRIS. So this survey found that 9 agencies in the DOST system do not have an HRIS or any in-house information system. Yung mga meron naman pong information system, 58% of them only have 4 modules or less. So we cannot really say that this is an HR system because it only includes attendance modules. And when we say an HR system, it encompasses different processes starting from recruitment up to separation. So what are the implications po? So first is administrative personnel are highly focused on clerical tasks. Since hindi pa po automated yung mga processes natin, hindi po nakaka-focus ang ating mga personnel on their core tasks such as training and development and more. Organizational processes are not streamlined and manual. Available systems are in silos and monolithic, meaning we're not coordinated with one another. Systems are not integration ready. So most of these existing systems are what we call legacy systems, meaning they use outdated technology. So mahirap po i-expand or madagdagan ng functions itong mga existing systems na to. And of course, importantly, issue on transparency, human error, and document loss. So that's where DOST-ASTI's ERP system comes in. So we help government offices improve their productivity and efficiency through the enterprise resource planning systems that we develop. So since 2000, DOST-ASTI already uses an in-house information system which has been improved over the years. So a brief timeline po. In 2015, we have launched the Enterprise Resource Planning System. This is the current version used by ASTI employees to file their pass slips, sign their DTR, apply for leaves, and more. So as part of the MIS, our mandate is to really give internal support to our staff. But over the years, government agencies have been coming to us po because they want to adopt the ERP. So to address engineer the ERP system into something that can be used by not only ASTI but other government agencies as well. In 2017, the ERP procurement system was developed, and now it just finished its last phase, and it's now in the data population stage in preparation for rollout. So it means it will be deployed for agency-wide use, and hopefully other agencies will be able to use it as well. Ngayon naman po, 2020, it's our current project, the Human Resource Information System. So first, let's discuss the ERP system. So the ERP system has many modules. Ito po yung home screen or login screen. Then the home page. And these are the different modules that we have. So first is the personnel records. This is where our employees file their pass slips, sign their DTRs, fill up their personal data sheet, and more. Knowledge assets for the document posting and tracking. Dito po nakikita yung mga special orders, memos, reservation, procurement. But the procurement module po is only for the generation of documents since we already have a separate procurement system. Inventory, and more. So this is the home, if you can see po, the application for leave, DTR, personal data sheet, and po, procurement forms, generator of procurement forms, ito po, reservation of vehicle, which is very useful, especially for our skeletal workforce na pumapasok po sa office. Dito po sila nag-file ng transport reservation. And we also have room reservation. Yan po yung example. The next is the ERP procurement system. This was developed to address the very tedious government procurement process, and it aims to automate it and make it more effective and efficient. Ayan po yung home scheme. So it covers all stages of procurement, starting from the item catalog up to items for procurement. We have improved the interface, and yung item catalog, it contains na po pictures and specifications. So parang shopping cart po yung dating niya. And ito po, this is where our staff, each staff po is assigned a role depending on their actions or roles in the procurement process. Yan po. PPMP, the Project Procurement Management Plan. Yan. And up to the items for procurement po covered ng ERP system. And madali na rin pong makita yung mga procurement forms because it's easily sorted in the system. Next po is the Human Resource Information System. It's our current project, and it aims to cover all four pillars of human resource management as prescribed by the CSC. So, starting from recruitment, selection, and placement, rewards and recognition, learning and development, up to separation. So, this is just a draft of our system since it's still in development. So, these are the different roles that it can be assigned to employees. Yan po. We have also libraries for better data management. Yan po, plantilla positions, creation of plantilla position, and announce vacancies so that the concerned personnel can file their request. So, very in detail po talaga yung content ng system. And we also have the public-facing application system. So, this is where our aspiring or applicants can view job postings. They can create an account so they can submit their application and track the progress of their application. So, it works hand in hand with our HRIS. Yan po example ng personal data sheet. So, what are the advantages of our ERP systems? First is increased productivity. Since the processes will be automated, the employees can focus more on their core tasks, and rather than spending too much time on paperwork, faster transactions, paperless, unlimited users. So as long as the infrastructure can handle it, kaya pong mag-create ng unlimited number of accounts. So wala pong maximum number of accounts na pwede mag-create. Mobile responsive, so you can access the systems in your mobile phones or tablets, whether it's iOS or Android. Web-based, flexible workflow. For example, may OIC, and madali pong matatransfer yung mga signatories in case there will be transfer of management. API-based. So, API-based, nagko-coordinate po yung mga components ng system with one another. So, for example, our HR system, it works hand in hand with our public-facing application system. So, whatever data is stored in the HRIS, madali po siyang masasend sa public-facing application system. Digital signing, so just few clicks, you can sign a document. But of course, the e-signature is encrypted to abide with the Data Privacy Act. data analytics and visualization, meaning the system can make reports and make sense of the data stored in the system. For example, it can say ano po yung pinakamaraming course within the, anong course po yung marami sa employees, ano po yung highest educational attainment, age group, and more. Subscribes to SaaS delivery. So the system is hosted in a cloud computing environment. So, yung isang website na lang po for everyone. So, dito po pumapasok yung multi-tenancy. So, in case may gusto po mag-adapt na agency, hindi na po kailangan mag-set up ng separate instance for them. So, everything is just in one website and agencies can create their accounts. They will be assigned accounts and pwede po silang mag-create ng user accounts. So, isang website na lang po for all, which is very cost-effective. Portable data and cost-effective. So how are we different from other solutions? It's because we understand the problem. So since we are a government agency, we follow government rules, we understand the general scheme of things, and we share the same concerns. And throughout the development of our systems, we always make sure that we conduct elicitations with our stakeholders so that we really know their problem and we can address these issues and hopefully implement them in the system. So how can you be involved in the ERP? So there are two ways which will be further discussed later, and it's as a client and as a licensee. So as a client po, we are looking for government agencies who need ERP solutions so that we can adapt our ERP. So in the past years, we already worked with PHIVOX, DICP, NSC, and DOE. So they have adapted some of the modules of the ERP and they are using it today. Next is opportunities for licensing, which since it's more, we want to ensure the sustainability of the system because it's a project. If the funding ends, the project will also end. So that's why we are looking for licensees to help us sustain the project and help us manage the system. So ano po yung mga roles ng pwedeng magampanan ng isang licensee is support and maintenance of the system, bug fixing, enhancements, developments and enhancements, sales and marketing, branding of the system, helping us look for clients, infrastructure, provision of hardware and software, and then change management, helping us to train employees, data migration, and more. So that is all. So if questions, you may send us an email at mis@asti.usd.gov.ph, or if you are interested in becoming a, you can approach the Technology Licensing Office. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Angelica Marie Paz. We're encouraging everyone to leave their questions in the chat sections after each speaker. The second speaker will present to us the Kooha mobile application. She is a software engineer and researcher with more than 10 years of experience in the area of information and communications technology, research and development, and systems engineering. She also has an experience working with web and mobile app development, MVC frameworks, content management systems, and business process management systems. She received her Bachelor of Science in Computer Science degree from the University of the Philippines, Los Baños, and earned her Master of Engineering in Electrical Engineering degree at the University of the Philippines, Diliman. Before eventually becoming a Senior Science Research Specialist and Technical Lead in the Computer Software Division at the DOST-ASTI, where she manages teams in building system engineering projects for government agencies. Please welcome Ms. Roxanne S. Aviñante.
Good day, everyone. I'm Roxana Viñante from the Computer Software Division of DOST-Advanced Science and Technology Institute, and I will present the project Kooha, a social sensing network application. For the agenda of my presentation, First, I will briefly present the overview of our project, what are the current pain points that need to be addressed, our proposed solution, the application's features and uses, who are potential users and customers, our competitive advantages, and our value proposition. The project conceptualization and development of Kooha application started last July 2019. The development of the project is still ongoing, and we project to launch the mobile and web applications this year. So our division, the Computer Software Division, is one of the R&D divisions of DOST-ASTI. The Computer Software Division focuses on research and development initiatives using innovative software technologies, solutions, and quality systems and applications. We also forges and strengthens partnerships with academe, government, and industry by providing effective software solutions, design and development consultancies. So going back to the Kooha project, so why we develop Kooha, a social sensing network application? What's our research motivation? What are the pain points that we are trying to address? So we all know that data is massive nowadays and exists in various forms, and it originates typically from one or three primary sources. First is the internet or social networks such as the social media applications, crowdsourcing applications, etc. Next is the traditional business systems. These are information systems and databases. And last, increasingly from the Internet of Things or IoT. So what are the current pain points or problems that we're trying to address related to big data? First, we have insufficient data available to do data science or analytics in our country. Currently, the Philippines has limited machine-generated content or data created from IoT as a source of big data for researchers, and there is a lack of big data for generation of new knowledge or applications. Much of the Philippine data come from the Philippine Statistics Authority, other government agencies, and some private sectors. And also, the accessibility and reliability of data depend on how the data from different government agencies or companies are collected, processed, stored, documented, and disseminated. Traditional databases are still the big data source in the country. Most of the big data available in the country for researchers and data analysts are government records and registry data. So some of the current sources of big data in the country, we have the open data from or the data.gov.ph, where we can use government records and registry records for further studies. We also have in ASTI, we have this project, the field sensors with Pag-asa, where we can use weather and environmental data for research purposes. We also have the satellite images through Philippine Earth Data Resource Observation Center. Also, the World Health Organization, the DOH, they also have this public health data for research purposes, and also the World Bank has this open data. Again, these sources are limited because real-time machine-generated content or data created from IoT is still insufficient. Another problem that we're trying to address is building gadgets and electronics that can sense environment data is costly and strenuous. Well, we all know that building and constructing gadgets and electronics that can sense environment data and building an IoT infrastructure are expensive to implement. The IoT data is usually generated from the sensors that are connected to the electronic devices. And last is there is a lack of available system or infrastructure that can generate data in the country. So having said all these pain points, our proposed solution is through Kooha, a social sensing network and crowdsourcing application. And Kooha application is more than just a social media application. The goal of Kooha is to build a societally relevant and societally responsible social sensing network and to enable and empower the general public to contribute data to the scientific community through crowdsourcing. And with the use of Kooha, we can create our own niche to generate big data that can be used by researchers and data scientists in the country and even across the globe. So why the name Kooha? It is actually a wordplay of the Tagalog word kuha or capture in English. It is illustrated by an image of an owl, which represents wisdom or knowledge, with an aperture or camera lens in its right eye, since the application collects data through the camera application of Kooha. So what is Kooha? Kooha is an application that enables real-time participatory photo and sensor data collection using smartphones and mobile devices. It is a citizen science project, an online social network of students, enthusiasts, researchers, and citizen scientists built on the concept of sharing and mapping contributions of photographs and sensor data across the globe. It aims to carve out a niche for big data generation using available sensors in smartphones and external sensor devices. As I've said earlier, it aims to empower the general public to contribute data to the scientific community and also provide a medium for data scientists, researchers, citizen scientists to make use of this big data generated by the Kooha application. Photos and sensor data collected will be used to draw out insights and generate new knowledge and technologies that can be used across the sector, across different sectors. Kooha is not just a social media application, but it is a social network where anyone can record and share their photograph. When you share a photograph on Kooha, it becomes more than just a picture. It becomes a contribution. Kooha will sense data as you take a photo, and each contribution is shared with a global community of enthusiasts, researchers, and users, where data can be used for further study. So this is the high-level architecture of Kooha. The application will capture photo and sensor data from mobile phones, and if there's an available external sensor device plugged and connected to the application and to your mobile phone, it will also collect data from these attached sensor devices. And data will be embedded in the exchangeable image file format or EXIF of the captured photograph. Photo and sensor data shared to the Kooha community will be uploaded to a data, web, and application servers via a research network. And data will be managed and maintained in a high-performance facility or our core facility in ASTI and will be available via API and web services, and this data can be used to generate models, apply diagnostic analytics, or predictive or prescriptive capabilities. So what's our value proposition? First is citizen science. The Kooha application aims to promote citizen data science. Citizen science enables participants to make a direct contribution to research, increase their scientific understanding, and immerse themselves deeply afield in learning about environmental issues. These opportunities provide personally transformative experiences. Next is societally relevant and societally responsible social network. Kooha aims to make useful contribution to the scientific community, and every shared photograph of users will become a contribution. And last is big data generation. Our goal is to carve out a niche of big data generation in the country. And also, as I mentioned earlier, this This application will provide a medium for data scientists, researchers, and citizen scientists to make use of big data generated by Kooha. So here's what you can do with Kooha. First, data exchange made easier. Kooha made it easier for you to be connected to the research community. It promotes citizen science that allows the public to contribute data and generate models out of the data generated by the users. Next is public service made more accessible. With the help of Kooha, information you gather through photos can help various sectors curate data for research purposes. Data captured through the Kooha application can be used by transportation and telecommunication companies, business sectors, researchers and data analysts, policymakers, environmental and health sectors, and even the academe. And last is photography, but better. There are various elements such as luminance, sound, temperature, humidity, pressure, network signal that can be detected by Kooha through the device's environment sensors. And also human activity can also be recognized through motion sensor data captured by Kooha all in one snap. So how the application works? There are 4 simple steps on how to use the application. First is capture. The application will sense data as the user takes a photo. Next is enhance. Blend data to your photo, and as I've mentioned, sensor data will be embedded in the EXIF header of the photograph. Photo can be blended and fused in with data for better display using available templates. Share. Publish to Kooha community to other user so other user can see and react to the contribution, and shared contribution can be viewed by other users in the community. And last is explore. Explore moments captured by Kooha users. Contributions will be plot in a map wherein users can explore and visualize all contributions shared by Kooha community worldwide. So here are the core features of the mobile application. Capture. Not only Kooha lets you capture the precious moment, it also takes your device sensor data and embeds it to the photo for richer content. So what are the data being collected upon image capture? First is the raw photo or the image, the location, environment sensor data such as luminance, the temperature, sound, humidity, pressure, motion sensor data such as acceleration, rotational motion, gravity, proximity, magnetic field. The application also captures the mobile network information, the list of all mobile networks in the device, signal strength, service state, network type, and even the Wi-Fi network information, and other details such as battery level, temperature of the phone, status, etc. So next is share to community. Kooha users join up to the community where they can share photos taken using the application. They can react to photos and explore the data embedded in each image. So the users can see what other Kooha users in the community are into. You may find users with the same interests or same type of images being captured. Next is explore and generate insights. More shared photos and more insights, more insights to gain. So collected photos and sensor data can be used by data scientists, researchers, and citizen scientists in generating insights and making decisions relevant to the society. So the users can explore and visualize data and contributions in the community all over the world through a map from any browser. User can also mine and search data available to the community for further analysis and studies. And they can also download filtered data for potential application and utilization. Next is plug and sense. User can connect to an external sensor device and collect relevant data and measurement. Connect and interact to an external sensor device using Bluetooth Low Energy, collect sensor data such as ambient temperature, infrared temperature, luminance, humidity, pressure, acceleration, and embed external sensor data to the EXIF header of the captured image. Integration or coupling of the external sensor device to the mobile device as a plugin, attachment, or accessory. So this is the actual screenshots of the Kooha mobile application. So as you can see on your screen, there is the login page where user may opt to manually register or use his or her Facebook or Gmail account. And user should read and understand and agree with the terms of use and privacy policy before using the application. So we do not collect sensitive information, and the application has built-in permission, and user should allow certain permissions to use the application. We make sure to value and protect users' information in compliance with the Data Privacy Act of 2012. Then there's the list of user contributions, a collection of photographs and sensor data shared to the Kooha community, as well as users' collection feed, wherein all the list of starred and favorite contributions will be filtered. And also, user share a contribution with captured photograph and sensor data from internal and external devices with notes, tags, categories, and location. And on the fourth screen, as you can see, here's the view of all contributions plotted in a map. User may explore other contributions from different locations, check the heat map, and view photos and sensor data contributed by other users. User may view all the contributions shared by enthusiasts, students, and researchers. And the last screen is the Kooha feed, where all contributions from different users of Kooha in the Kooha community will be displayed and arranged according to relevance. And we also have the Kooha web application, wherein the heat map, summary of contributions, sensor data, and contributors will be available to the public. User can also filter data by internal and external device sensor data, location, date, and other relevant metadata. API references and API calls to access big data will be available by request to the agency. So who are the potential customers? Who are the market? Who are the users? Given that there are significant amount of data contributed by users, big data subscribers can use this data for analysis, to infer insights, and generate new knowledge and technologies. Applications, but not limited to transportation and telecommunication companies, identify which areas with good signal reception, areas with high foot traffic, if there are congestion. Next is for business sectors. They can identify foot traffic, behavior of potential customers and their preferences. Also, it can be used by researchers and data analysts. Data can be used for AI, machine learning, data analytics, etc. Policymakers can also use the data for decision making. Data may infer general public's behavior, preferences, ethics, and environmental sectors. Collected data can be used to be an aid for researches related to environmental science, disaster, health, climate change, ecosystem, etc. Who are the application users? Application users are the students, researchers, enthusiasts, and citizen scientists. And when will be the application be available to the market? We are arranging procurement and operational matters at this point, and the application is expected to be available in Play Store this year. So the Kooha team, comprises of the project management team and the technical team members. So we are the Kooha team who developed this application. So you may send your questions through our contact details flashed on your screen. You may also follow us and message us for the development updates of the project. And that concludes my presentation about the Kooha project. And thank you for your time and thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Roxanne S. Aviñante. Now we go on to our next speaker who will talk about the Gulay technology. He is a senior software engineer and science researcher at the DOST-ASTI. He holds technical leadership and hands-on tasks for the system administration and development team to the software engineering projects under the external partners, such as the Housing and Urban Development Coordinating Council and Department of Energy, among others. He is currently pursuing his postgraduate studies, taking up Master of Engineering in Electrical Engineering, focusing on computer network security and IoT at the University of the Philippines. Please welcome Mr. Ruther J. B. Copino.
I am Ruther J. B. Copino, Science Research Specialist 1 of DOST-ASTI, and I would like to take this opportunity to thank you all for being here in this webinar series, and also DOST Region 6 for the invitation. Given the chance to share with you, in behalf of our team, some of our research works under DOST-ASTI and Computer Software Division, I hope that all of you are doing well and in good condition during this COVID-19 pandemic. Let me share with you Gulay Project, an AI and IoT-assisted phenotyping platform. To start with, the Philippines as a nation has 9.671 million hectares of total agricultural land area, out of which 4.936 million hectares is arable. With such vast land area available for cultivation and production of export quality agricultural products, the Philippines is in a good position to be a key player in the agricultural sector within the region and overseas. However, interest in jobs relating to agriculture has undergone a decline over the years. From 2010 to 2012, the share of agriculture in total employment in the country has experienced a drop to 32%. There is growing lack of interest in the youth in pursuing crop farming related jobs, and the current generation of farmers are now aging. The promise of high-paying office jobs in the metro strongly entices the youth to leave the countryside, leaving behind a generation of aging farmer relatives. This phenomenon can be seen as a transition of the Philippines from traditional agriculture-based economy to now an information age economy. Another factor that affects the growth of agricultural sector in the country is the climatic conditions that farmlands are exposed to whole year round. For almost half of the year, crops are exposed to extreme heat during the summer season. For the other half of the year, crops are exposed to heavy rains, which are most of the time accompanied by strong winds during the rainy season. The Philippines experiences at least 20 tropical cyclones every year that causes damage to crop and infrastructure. These damages amounts to billions of pesos both in agriculture and infrastructure. These factors, decline of interest of the youth in agriculture, and vulnerability of farmlands to damage due to local weather conditions contributes to the continuous decline of agriculture in the Philippines. This problem poses a threat to the food security of the country. Currently, there are only few initiatives from both the public and the private sector, which focus on the fusion of farming and information and communication technology, or ICT. The project is Smart Plant Production in Controlled Environments, or rather known as SPICE of DOST, UP Diliman, and UP Los Baños, focus on the conservation of indigenous and endemic plants in the Philippines. Local state universities' efforts on this area are more focused on the alternative modes of growing crops, like hydroponics and aquaponics. Nowadays, it is uncommon for digital device to be connected to remote cloud services that provides functionalities that are otherwise not possible to perform on the device itself or would be resource extensive. Such devices are commonly referred to as edge devices, which serves as sensing devices for remote applications that utilize data in producing services. This ecosystem of devices and cloud-based remote services make up the Internet of Things, or IoT. And it seems this will be the trend for the upcoming decades in ICT. Simple definition of IoT is that it allows multiple things or objects to be connected to the internet and allow exchange of data. In this age of AI, collected data from edge devices are fed to machine learning algorithms that determine patterns among many variables and encapsulate these patterns into data models. These data models can be used for various analytics purposes, such as predicting values of certain variables given yet unseen observation data. The machine behaves according to the corresponding profile of new input data. There is much interest among the youth towards IoT and AI these days, probably due to the heavy proliferation of these topics on mainstream media through Hollywood sci-fi movies and online media sites such as YouTube. Access to mobile devices and the internet among the youth is also continuously growing. The youth gravitates towards what is high-tech and in turn puts aside some areas of studies associated with being low-tech like farming. So with this, the project aims to promote the fusion of farming and ICT among the youth through the implementation of an indoor microscale plant growing system. The objective of the Gulay projects are the following. First is to construct prototypes of the plant growing module, which is to develop an indoor microscale plant growing system with controlled environment. The plant growing module of the system will be fitted with basic environment sensors to gather data about the plants. An onboard computer box will perform the periodic measurements of values of the environmental parameters. Second objective is to develop an online information management system for managing data generated from the platform. The collected data from the growing box will be forwarded to the remote servers for storage and processing. Data will be generated from the plant growing module will be used to train machine learning models that can be used to predict certain aspects of plants. Example, growth rate based on specific environmental parameter values. Third is to develop a mobile application for remote monitoring of the platform status. I think every one of us has our own mobile phone or smartphone. With this mobile application, we will be able to remotely create, run, and modify experiments, and also monitor and take control of the plant growing module through online, even if we are in a different location. Fourth is to conduct validation activities with partners. During our problem verification and validation stage, we have reached out to several SUCs like UP Diliman, UP Los Baños, and Nueva Ecija, University of Science and Technology, or NEUST. We have conducted series of meetings to validate our problem statement and found the significance and benefit of Gulay project development to further improve their domain and help them in conduct of their research activities. The initial target beneficiaries are research institute, SUCs, high school, and science laboratories that would want to conduct research and experiments on plants in a controlled environment. To give you a brief understanding on the Gulay system, let's take a look at the high-level architecture of the Gulay project. As we can see on the slide, Gulay system comprises of the following. Gulay backend system. This will mainly be the remote services or application program interface that is available online that will handle the exchange of data between the mobile application, experiment unit platform, or plant box, and the web application. The second component would be the mobile application platform for monitoring the experiment unit platform. In here, we will be able to remotely create, run, modify experiments, and also monitor and take control of the plant growing module through online. As I've mentioned, even if we are in a different location, given the privilege to access the Gulay system. The third component would be the experiment unit platform or the plant box itself. The fourth component would be the web application. This will be a web-based application portal that is available online that will provide capability to the researchers or end users of the system to be able to manage, create, and view experiment, and also perform data processing tasks and generate results. For the initial key players, we have identified two actors in the system, the admin and the researcher. The admin, since this will be an IoT-assisted project, multiple devices with multiple sensors will be in the system. Thus, this will require someone who will manage or take control of the resources available in a certain facility or laboratory where experiment unit platform or the plant box are deployed under an organization. The second actor would be the researcher. It can be a student, senior, college, or graduate student, domain experts in the fields of crop science, can be hobbyists or enthusiasts who wants to conduct experiments on plants. Researchers can run, modify, experiment deployed in a plant box remotely through the mobile application and manage the experiment data and result through the web application. Now, let's dive deeper into a more detailed architecture of the Gulay system. As we can see in the diagram, there are four main components. The general flow of the Gulay system is that the experiment platform unit or the plant growing module will be remotely controlled via the experiment platform unit monitoring component, which comprises of mobile application or a web application. The data generated from the experiment platform unit will be sent to the backend services, which comprises of API services available online, deployed in servers, and hosted in a high-performance computing facility. So contributed data from the EPU will be permanently stored and processed in the data servers. The data can be viewed and managed and be further processed through the web application component. Let's go through the component one by one. Platform Unit Monitoring Component. The EPU Platform Monitoring Component comprises of control and monitoring application features wherein you can register, connect, and manage your multiple EPU or plant boxes. You can create and run and manage experiments. You can also set the value of the growing parameters that is specific to the plant that will be grown inside the box. Remotely, you can also monitor the performance of an individual EPU by accessing through the application dashboard. All the data gathered will synchronously send to the Gulay backend services. Also, viewing of logs of previous and ongoing experiments is enabled through the system. Log is a core of an experiment. A log file can contain an important data of activities conducted under an experiment. This will be your primary source of documentation and result. So keeping a systematic data of experiment is a key factor to obtain an accurate experiment result. As you can see, this is the prototype of the mobile application for the Gulay system. As you can see on the first image, Through the mobile application, you may be able to register or add an EPU or plant box. On the second image, if you have multiple boxes running multiple experiments one at a time, you have the capability to manage each of the plant boxes available to you through the Manage Box feature of the mobile app. On the third image, you will be able to see your list of ongoing and past experiments and also preview the details of each experiment. On the image 5, you may also take control of some actions inside the plant box, like changing the light color that is needed by the plant in your experiment. The next component would be the experiment platform unit component or the plant box. This is the plant box or the hardware component of the Gulay project. The scale of this system will be small enough that one can fit it into a normal-sized backyard or indoor space in an urban setting. The plant growing module of the system will be fitted with basic environment sensors to gather data about the plants. It is an enclosed, remotely controlled environment for growing plants with specific environmental factors that needs to be set. Some of the environmental factors observed are relative humidity, temperature, lighting conditions, like color, intensity, photo period, and luminance. Nutrients in growing medium is also monitored. Carbon dioxide, water level, pH level, and electronic conductivity. The EPU or the plant box is manageable via the mobile application. And also, it periodically logs observation data in local and remote storage. The next component would be the backend services and web application component. Backend services are the servers specific for processing and storing the data coming from the EPU or the plant boxes, while the online web application will be your portal to access the Gulay backend system and the data through the web. Few initial features of the web application components are the following. First is the experiment management and viewer. Through the data synced from the mobile application and the EPU or the plant box, you may be able to create and view results of experiments conducted on the platform. The second feature would be the analytics platform. You will be able to perform exploratory data analysis and multivariate data analysis on the generated experiment datasets from the platform. So through the data generated and processed, we may be able to create a plant growth model which can help the agriculture sector in the proper or optimal way of growing plants. In developing this kind of research project, several domain and skills are needed since it is a fusion of agriculture and ICT. Citing some of those domain skills presented in the slides, for us a team for over years of expertise and the mandate of the Institute, which is in microelectronic, technology transfer, and space technology, in proposing projects like Gulay, which involved the agriculture domain, we have partnered and validated our problem statement to the domain experts in crop science, plant breeding, and SUCs like Nueva Ecija, University of Science and Technology or NEUST, UP Diliman, and UP Los Baños Crop Science and Plant Breeding College. For crop science and plant breeding, crop scientists and plant breeders undertake scientific research and work to increase the yield of field crops by improving farming methods and plant breeding techniques and developing new plant strains. Also to give highlight that under the K-12 system education of the Philippines, which create changes in the way high school students are trained not only for educational advancement, but also for possible career or employment. By introducing technology like Internet of Things and ICT will help the students decide whether on what strand they will be taking. For someone who will interest with research on ICT and microelectronics, it will fall on STEM or the science, technology, engineering, and mathematics strand. If the students are interested in building prototypes and robots, crunching numbers, analyzing the ways of life, and the interest in the latest software development tools and system engineering, which are the key skills in developing this kind of project, then STEM strand is fit for them. Gulay is currently in the development stage of the prototype and the software applications, and is targeted to be deployed to the partners by next year. So that ends my talk. Thank you all for being here today and taking time to patiently listen to what I had to say. For questions, you may email me at my email address flashed at your screen, and I wish you all a blessed day. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Copino. Again, just as a reminder, if you have any questions for our speakers, you may send them through the chat pane or via the comment section, and our moderators will respond to you as we go through our program for today. Our fourth speaker from the DOST-ASTI will talk about the AI for mapping. He is a researcher at the DOST-ASTI for space applications and mapping. A licensed geodetic engineer, he has been in R&D since 2013. He is the tech lead of the DOST project, which specializes in AI and ML applications of space technologies, and is one of the technical personnel involved in the SOAR with Eyes research. Please welcome Mr. Roel de la Cruz.
I'll be discussing yung AI for mapping concept na technology na na-develop ng DOST-ASTI. So this was made possible by yung SNT infrastructure ng ASTI, Preginet, the Pedro, and the core computing facility. And this was developed by the DOST project. So Preginet is the research and government network. It's a high-speed internet. And yung Pedro is yung Earth observation center natin. Sila yung nagmamanage ng mga subscription natin ng satellite imagery, and they provide high-resolution images. And yung core, yung high-performance computing facility natin ng Science Cloud. Actually, it is the National High-Performance Computing Facility. And the DATOS is the Remote Sensing and Data Science project. So using this SNT infrastructure, we use them to produce maps and AI. So yung environment na to actually ay kasama dito yung Stamina for Space, yung ating DOST funded project na related sa space technology. So I usually like to start with the question, why is a country like the Philippines going into space? The answer doon is we need data. So data for scientific discovery, kailangan natin yun as researchers, and ito yung mahalaga, data that enables evidence-based policies, okay, para mas responsive yung mga programs natin. You know that satellite imageries ay may malaking geographic scope. So you can, if you do it manually, you need hundreds of people, years of manpower, of labor, para lang maimapa yung isang lugar, but isang scene lang yun ng satellite imagery. So if you take advantage of the technology, mas mabilis yung mga mapping activities natin. And of course, you want knowledge-based economy, tapos for inclusive innovation. So wala dapat na pag-iiwanan. And of course, data para sagutin yung information poverty. Ngayon, this is the challenge. Kailangan natin ng rapid map generation. We know the country, the Philippines, gas-gas na sa atin yun. We are very, very prone to disaster. Na, kung ano man, top 1, top 2, top 3, mamili ka. Basta lagi tayo nandun sa top in terms of disaster. Ngayon, pag may ganyang disaster, we need disaster response and monitoring ng mga yan. So, kailangan natin ng sobrang bilis na generation ng mga maps para may magamit yung mga rescuers natin, yung mga decision makers natin, yung mga nandun sa command center. Kasi you cannot go in a place empty-handed o kaya blind. Mas lalong napapatagal yung trabaho. The fact is, yung Earth observing satellites or Earth observation data ay sobrang dami na. Okay? So lahat ng satellites na nag-orbit sa mundo, 1/3 nun ay nakatingin lang sa Earth para kumuha ng imagery, pwede sa atmosphere, sa ocean, climatology application, etc. And meron yung mga typical na alam natin na kumukuha ng very high resolution. So, yung iba para na sa communications, etc. So, ganun kadami. So, 1/3 of it. Right? Ngayon, si NASA alone, meron silang 9 petabytes ng libreng EO data, so Earth observation data. So, ganun kalaki yung dataset na available. And daily, nag-i-increase pa yan in terabytes per day. Dito sa atin sa Pilipinas, we also have datasets, right, for satellite imagery. Yung nakikita nyo sa picture dito, yan yung coverage ng satellite imagery ng isa nating provider, yung Planet. Sa Pilipinas, makita nyo whole country yan, meron tayong coverage. And we have subscription to that, almost daily yung bigay na satellite imagery anywhere in the country, actually. So sa Pedro, they have more than 13 terabytes na ng data na nandun. Tapos yung Datos project, we already have, yung nandito na stats, 35 terabytes, pero halos doble na rin yata ngayon yung laki niyan. So, ganun kadami yung data na nandito lang sa Pilipinas. So, satellite imagery po lahat yan, pictures po lahat yan, both optical and radar. Ngayon, we don't have maps for inventory. For example, nabagyo ka, nasira yung mga puno ng niyog. Okay? So, walang nag-update ng statistics. So, kung alam natin na, halimbawa, merong 100,000 na niyog dito sa isang lugar, nagkaroon ng bagyo, nasira yung 50,000, pero yung statistics natin, 100,000 pa din. So, hindi siya na-update kasi nga, matagal siyang i-update. Okay? So, ang paborito namin itong niyog kasi, alam niyo ba kung ilan talaga yung niyog sa Pilipinas? Okay? So, we don't know. Walang nakakapagsabi. Even sa Quezon, sa Calabarzon, di ba? Madami yung nyug diyan, pero they don't know talaga. Alam lang natin na mas marami yung nyug kaysa sa tao. Definitely. Pero pag may nasira, di natin alam. Pag nadagdagan, hindi rin natin alam. So, mahalaga kasi yun kung gusto natin i-support yung mga ganyang industry. So, same with rice, mango plantations, and other high-value crops. So, kung imamapa mo lahat yung mga yun na nasisira during disaster, yung sinasabi ko kanina, it's very expensive, highly technical, and labor-intensive. So, our solution is, of course, data science and artificial intelligence. Okay? So, to do this, we need a team na consists of programmers para dun sa artificial intelligence na part. We need remote sensing people para gawin yung image interpretation. Ito yung pinaka mabigat na part, yung image interpretation para magkaroon ka ng data para makapag-train ng AI model para mag-detect ng gusto mo. And of course, the GIS people to do the mapping part. Okay? So now let's go to the DOST-AI technologies and how to make them. Yung slides ko ay parang pambata. So kung meron na kayong idea how AI works, okay lang. Kung wala pa kayong idea, then hopefully magkaroon kayo ng idea after I run through these slides. Okay. So, backgrounder, ito yung mga data sources natin ng satellite imagery and other ancillary data sets na ginagamit ng DOST project. Okay. So, from this type of imagery, yung nandito sa left, dumadaan na pinaprovide ng free sources o kaya ng Pedro, dadaan yan sa Preginet, i-compute yan ng core, ipaprocess yan ng datos para ma-produce yung nandun sa kanan. Okay? Yung kulay red dun sa taas, yun yung delineation ng mga landslide scars sa Makilala, Cotabato. Yung nandito sa lower right, ito naman yung delineation ng mga built-up areas using AI sa Apari, Cagayan. Kaya, just an example. So, we divided our processes into two. Yung isa is object detection and yung isa is time series analysis. Okay, so lahat ng yan, of course, ay gumagamit ng Earth observation data para makapag-produce na nga ng mga maps and analysis and yung mga gusto mong ma-produce. Sa object detection, so dalawa, no, sa object detection. What we do is, if you are training, halimbawa, yung empty brain ng isang bata, sakto, may umiiyak yata sa likod ko. So, kung yung bata gusto mong matutunan niya kung paano yung itsura ng pusa, okay? So, ang gagawin mo is, bibigyan mo siya ng sobrang daming picture ng pusa. Okay? Until such time na matutunan niya na kapag nakita niya itong picture na to, alam na makabisado niya yung color, yung silhouette, etc., yung texture, para malaman niya na yun ay pusa. Okay? I have another one for dog here, pero same concept. So, ganun yung ginagawa natin sa satellite imagery. Okay, so what we are trying to do here, we're using artificial neural networks. So, parang inire-replicate natin kung paano tayo nag-interpret ng images on our own. So, kumbaga, yung input signal natin, nakikita ng mata natin, pinapadala niya using mga neurons, tapos para doon sa dulo ng, doon sa axon natin, di ba, nagkakaroon ng output signal, tapos may series of neurons na nagpo-fire, may combination yan, para ma-interpret mo na yung nakikita mo ay isang baso or isang computer, etc. Lahat ng yun, na-train tayo, nung bata tayo, sinabi na anak, ito ay computer, ito ay baso, ito ay ganito, ito ay ganyan. And eventually, natutunan natin na kapag nakakita mo yung ganun, automatically interpret ng utak mo na ito ay computer. Okay? So, of course, hindi ganun kasimple yung nangyayari sa utak natin, but at least using the same concept, yun yung ginagamit yun yung concept ng artificial neural network or yung deep learning na tinatawag. Okay? So, nilalatag lang yung mga laman ng images mo into ang tawag dito, perceptor. Ito yung multi-layer perceptor models. So, nilalatag lang yung mga laman sa mga bilog na yan, tapos may mga connections yan para ma-produce yung output. Of course, it's all mathematical, and don't worry, yung computer naman, yung high-performance computer, yung GPU yung magka-compute for us. Kasi may mga weights ka pa dyan, pag nagkamali ka, babalik mo pa yan, adjust mo yung mga weights mo ulit, etc. para ma-produce yung gusto mong ma-produce. Okay? So, object detection, so yung main workflow is this one. Una is we do data processing, of course. Kasi yung data processing, dito natin inaayos yung imagery natin. So, since they are satellite images, meron silang sariling characteristic. Okay? It's not like your typical mobile pictures. Okay? So, iba yung paggamit ng satellite imagery. Kasi iba't ibang sensor ng satellite, magkakaiba yan. Tapos, of course, because the people that are working here are remote sensing people, tinitingnan nila yung ano ba yung central wavelength na ginamit ng red, ng green, ng blue, etc. So, usually, hindi natin pinapakailaman yun pag kumukuha tayo ng picture using our phone. Pero, yung mga sensor kasi na dala ng mga satellite, malalaki yon. And meron silang specific filters. Halimbawa, may filter siya for red, may filter siya for blue, for green, etc. hanggang infrared, near infrared, shortwave infrared. So, madami siyang ganun. So, lahat ng yun ay kumukuha ng dataset at nare-record sa isang image. So, yun yung mga ina-analyze, pina-process. And may certain combination ng mga bands na yun para mas madaling ma-detect yung mga ibang features. Okay? Yung sa cellphone kasi natin, usually, nag-range lang yan sa visible spectrum sa konti sa infrared. Okay? So, there's more that we can extract kasi they go beyond the visible spectrum ng light, yung mga satellite image natin. And then, so yun nga, di ba, para matutunan nyo kung paano mag-detect ng coconut, for example, kailangan natin siyang bigyan ng maraming example ng coconut. Ano yung itsura ng coconut sa satellite imagery? So you need thousands of them. Okay? Kaya ito yun yung training data preparation dito sa object detection. And then, pag na-prepare mo na lahat ng training data, i-train mo na yung AI model o yung AI brain na gusto mong i-train, and then you do validation and assessment. Okay? So, itong sample na to is different types ng satellite imagery. So, I hope nakikita yung mouse ko. Ano? This one is a very high resolution. Ibig sabihin, yung very high resolution, nasa sub-meter yan yung per pixel niya. Okay, so this one is the very high resolution imagery, 1 meter or less. So, usually, yung isang pixel nito ay katumbas ng less than 1 meter sa ground. Itong sunod, 3 meter resolution. So, medyo mas blurred na siya. Hindi na ganun kalaki yung detalye na nakikita mo. So, 3 meter resolution yan. Again, 3 meters yung katumbas ng 1 pixel sa ground. Ito naman is 30 meter resolution. So, di ba, hindi mo na makita yung details. Pero generic na yung mga nakikita mo na information. Ito ay radar. O, iba naman yan. Ang pinofocus talaga nito is parang dito sa mga optical images, hindi mo nakikita yung fish pen masyado, pero sa radar, sobrang kita siya. Yun yung hina-highlight dito sa image na to. Okay? So, syempre, bawat klase ng satellite image mo, meron kang specific na nakukuhang information. So, sa VHR, kaya mo nang mag-detect ng individual features like mangoes, trees, coconuts. So, ito yung mga na-develop na AI models na meron sa ASTI. Of course, we can develop more. Para sa planet, since mas blurred siya or hindi siya mas ganun ka-high-res, mas generalized na yung information na nakukuha natin. So, mga built-up areas, water bodies, vegetation, road networks, ganun na yung ma-extract. Sa 30 meter resolution naman, mas nagiging general pa yung kaya nating i-extract. Tapos sa radar, we can, ibang klase kasi yung radar, so we can detect specific objects diyan kasi iba yung geometry niya. So it sends its own signal tapos mine-measure niya yung bumabalik na signal. Okay. The other one is yung time series analysis. So ginamit naman namin dito yung voice recognition technique. Okay, yung one of the oldest voice recognition methods. So yung illustration nito is kapag meron kang cellphone and nagdi-dictate ka, sasabihin mo na hello. So, itatype niya yun na hello. Pag sinabi mong hello, mas mahaba, di ba? Tapos mas mahigh yung pitch, itatype niya pa rin yun ng hello. So, yun yung idea. So, paano namin siya in-apply sa satellite imagery? So, yung satellite imagery kasi, umiikot lang yan regularly sa mundo, di ba? For example, yung Sentinel na ginamit dito, every 12 days, meron siyang capture sa same location. So, nag-stock kami ng imagery, 1 year worth actually. So, parang ganyan yung illustration. So, pinagpatong-patong yung every 12 days na kuha, na capture ng satellite imagery. And bawat pixel nun, inanalyze namin yung changes ng backscatter value. Okay? Kumbaga, yung brightness levels niya. Kasi halimbawa, nung unang dumaan siya, nag-send siya ng signal, mahina yung natanggap niya, nung dumaan siya ulit, lumakas, nung dumaan siya ulit, lumakas, etc. So may pattern na nangyayari if you look at those imageries na pinagpatong-patong through time. Okay? So, ito yung, parang ganito yung nangyayari. So lahat ng pixel dyan, pinaplot namin kung ano yung backscatter values niyan. And then, if meron kang pattern na exactly na hinahanap, halimbawa yung nandun sa taas, hanapin mo kung nag-exist ba yung pattern na yan dito sa time series bawat pixel ng imagery. Pag nag-match siya, ibig sabihin, siya yung hinahanap mo. So, yung example dito, yung temporal pattern na yan ay temporal signature ng isang sugar cane mula nung tinanim hanggang nung anihin. So, yan yung hinahanap natin sa lahat ng pixel ng satellite imagery natin. Tapos, pag nahanap natin yan at nag-occur siya, minsan nag-occur siya 10 months, minsan 12 months. So, may compression na nangyayari. Mamarkahan natin na yung pixel na yon ay may possibility na sugarcane plantation. Okay? Same with rice and etc. Okay? Yeah, by the way, yung isang scene na yan, umaabot yan ng 50 gig. So, kailangan mo talaga ng HPC to implement this one. Okay, so, ganun din yung time series analysis. Kailangan mo ng data processing, extract ka ng temporal pattern sa known plantations, then kuha ka ng signature, tapos mag-signature matching ka, and then you do accuracy assessment, of course. Okay. So, let's go to the applications. So, one application ito is, for example, project monitoring. So, this one illustrates how an AI learns. Okay? Nung una, hindi pa siya marunong, and then parang habang dinadagdagan mo ng training data, dumadami yung kaya niyang i-detect. So, ito ay from 3-meter resolution, pero yung ginamit na background, mapapansin niyo is Google Earth. So, pinapakita namin na para lang for appreciation purposes. Pero sa totoo lang, hindi ganyan kalinaw yung image na ginamit diyan. Okay? Because it's 3-meter resolution. So, since dumadaan din lagi yung satellite imagery, pwede mong i-monitor kung anong nangyayari sa ground. For example, yung road network AI ng DOST project ay ginagamit ng Project Dime ng DBM. Sila yung nagmo-monitor ng mga build projects na farm-to-market roads. So, dinedetect ng AI kung may mga bagong road pixels sa isang imagery. Para ma-measure nila kung gaano nakalaki yung, kung tama yung nire-report ng contractor na progress versus yung nakikita natin sa satellite imagery. So, hindi mo na maloko ngayon yung DBM kung gumagawa ka ng kalsada. Kasi, sabihin mong completed na, nakikita na nila sa satellite imagery na, completed na nga. So, yun yung isang application. Another one, ito yung regular namin na nire-release every time na merong monsoon or bagyo, nire-release namin itong flood situation map. So, AI na yung nagde-detect. So, yung ganito kalaki na area, we can process that in 3 hours, 2 to 3 hours. Okay? So, ganun siya kabilis. And lahat ng to ay nire-release namin publicly. You can have it. Puntahan nyo lang yung DOST Facebook page. Every time na may ma-produce kami na mapa, nire-release namin yun doon. Nire-release namin siya in a printable manner. Yung mga boxes na yun na nakikita nyo ay pwede nyong i-print yan. Isang mapa yan. Pwede nyong i-print and i-cut nyo, tapos pagdugtungin nyo kung gusto nyo makakuha ng mas malaki. So, ginawa namin yun para mas madali. Kahit walang GIS software yung mga munisipyo, pwede nilang gamitin to. And it's free. Huwag lang gamitin for commercial purposes. May end-user license agreement yan. We also train an AI to extract damage for us. So, somehow, maganda naman yung effect. we can also use it sa landslide. For example, sa Itogon Benguet last time, they asked us to have satellite imagery dun sa landslide. Kaso, hindi naman nila sinasabi kung nasaan. So what we did is, pinatakbo namin yung mga AI models. Sorry, wala yung, dapat may isa pang ano dito. Napansin namin na nawalan ng roads dito sa area na may yellow and merong mga built-up area dun sa bandang maliit na side. Okay? So, missing yata yung slide ko for that. Ito naman, landslide sa Cotabato, we produce it in 2 minutes. Okay? In 2 minutes time. So, ganun siya kabilis. Kung pupuntahan mo sa ground na, it will take you weeks or months. Ganyang kalaking imagery. So, so ang ginawa namin dyan is we ran our models para i-detect yung mga vegetated areas tapos naging bare soil. Okay? Diba? Remember kanina, diniscuss ko yung AI models in detecting land cover. So, yun yung ginamit dito. So, syempre hindi namin masabi na 100% landslide yan, pero ano pa ba yung pwedeng maging reason na yung isang vegetated na lugar ay agad-agad naging bare soil. So, yun yung reason na sinabi namin na these are potential landslide areas. At sobrang bilis po ng gamitin. This is not an AI one, pero kasama lang siya dito. We are also processing yung health index ng mga halaman nung drought nung nangyari. Actually, nung nangyari nung 2019. Okay. For agricultural applications naman, ito yung gumagamit nung temporal analysis kanina. So, ito na yung delineation. So, itong nandito sa left side, this is a sugarcane detection. Okay? Yung mga naka-digitize na yan, yung mga sugarcane plantations na provide ng Sugar Regulatory Administration. May mawa kami with them. Kapansin-pansin dito is meron ng mga sugarcane plantations na detect kami na hindi nakamapa sa kanila. And vice versa, meron silang nakamapa na sugarcane plantation pero sa totoo hindi na siya plantation sa ngayon. So, parang ito, ang dami nito, na-convert na sa isang subdivision ngayon, hindi na siya sugarcane plantation. So, ayun, so they can use it. Actually, they are now using it. They already delineated and I think hundreds of thousands of hectares na so far since our collaboration. Di ko lang maalala yung statistics. Ganun din sa rice and sa corn. So, in-apply na po siya sa both of them. And sa ngayon, sa radar naman, we are detecting fish ponds, fish cages, and fish pens. Okay, so AI na rin siya. Ito yung example ng detection ng mga fish pens and sa Laguna de Bay. And ito naman sa Pangasinan, example. Tapos, ito yung sa Bolinao din. So, hiniwalay na namin yung fish ponds, fish traps, and fish pens. Late nung, hindi na outdated itong slides ko, pero nadedetect na rin ngayon itong mga fish cages. Okay, as we speak. So, lahat ng yan ay AI na yung gumawa. Hindi na yan dinigitize ng tao. So, yan. So, ganyan kalaking area. We have a MOA with the Philippine Statistics Authority para sa Census of Agriculture and Fisheries in 2022. So, yung magiging census natin later on, sa 2022, ay map using AI na, okay, nationwide. So, yun yung collaboration namin with them right now. Ito yung example ng coconut. Actually, coconut is one of the easiest crop to detect. So, yun yung training data and sa kabila, ito na yung detection. Actually, we already updated this one na hindi na dinodrawing yung yung shape ng coconut, kundi binabox na lang siya para mas madaling magbilang and mas mabilis din sa computation. Okay? So, we also did that with mango. Etong sa pili, we tried that pero hindi kami ganun katuwa sa results. Okay? Of course, pwede rin natin magamit yung technique na yun sa land cover. This one is land cover from Landsat. Okay? This is better than doing yung classification itself using the typical remote sensing techniques. Of course, nung trinain namin yung AI, gumamit pa rin kami ng mga remote sensing methods para makagawa ng mga training data. And after that, tinuruan siya ng tinuruan, niretrain hanggang sa maging mas magaling na siya sa amin mag-process ng land cover. Okay? So, ayan na siya. Sa planet naman, yung kabila yung Landsat, that's 30-meter resolution. This one is the 3-meter resolution. Yung nakikita nyo dito, hindi yan blurred, yan na talaga yung full resolution ng imagery. And you can extract this information mula dito. Okay? Using yung temporal din na information, pwede rin natin magamit to check, parang to project kung ano yung magiging itsura ng isang lugar in the future. Halimbawa, dito sa Davao, nung 2013, yung red yung built up, nung 2016, yun yung blue. So, kung magawan mo ng equation yan, yung kung gaano kabilis yung rate ng pag-increase ng expand ng urban area, you can make plans like anong itsura nito ng 2050, 2100, etc. Okay? And this one, ito yung tinitingnan namin na pwedeng maging application nung mga na-discuss ko so far. So, yung AI for EO kasi is, this is what we are branding it before, AI for Earth observation. You can use it in infrastructure monitoring, in DRR and climate change adaptation, security and defense, force and food security, and monitoring. So itong using mga thematic areas na to, may mga agencies na directly makikinabang sa kanila. And ito yung mga AI models na pwede nilang gamitin, kaya nakamap yun sa mga bawat agency. Some of them we have MOA na, yung iba dyan ay direct recipient ng mga outputs, and yung iba dyan ay kausap na namin para mag-cooperate. Okay? Next one, we are doing trainings before sa mga academe and sa mga partner government agencies na may mga MOA. So we are doing this because we want to accelerate yung transition ng AI-enabled mapping. So gusto namin tayo yung mauna, kumbaga, ma-widespread siya sa Pilipinas na lahat ng mapping agencies ay gumagamit ng AI para mapabilis yung kanilang mga trabaho. So yun yung mission namin. And of course, hindi lang naman sa government, sana magamit din ng mga industry leaders yung technology na to para sa ating economy. Of course, para mas malaki yung maging reach natin. So that's it. Thank you very much. If you have questions, you can email yung mga nandito sa information na ito.
Thank you, Mr. De La Cruz. Now we go on to our next speaker who will talk about MASID weather stations. She is an embedded systems programmer with proficiency in firmware programming using embedded C language. A science research specialist 1 at the DOST-ASTI, her current engagements include the development of embedded firmware for data logger sensor implementation and the conduct of research on electronic modules and components necessary for product designs, among others. Please welcome Ms. Jasmine Jane M. Yabut.
A pleasant day to everyone. I am Hasmin Jane Yabut from the Embedded Systems Group, and I will be talking about the ASTI developed stations. We brand ASTI's network of station as MASID, or the Meteorological Data Acquisition Stations for Information Dissemination. We chose MASID because in Tagalog it means to observe, na yun naman yung ginagawa ng ating mga stations, ang mag-observe or gather ng mga weather data. So, ang konting background lang po or motivation on how the stations were developed. Since the Philippines is a disaster-prone country due to its geographical location, many typhoons, earthquakes, and natural disasters make their way annually. So, yung Philippines was ranked as 8 among the countries most exposed to multiple hazards. So, ibig sabihin po nito, mataas ang risk sa ating safety at masira ang ating mga properties due to natural calamity. According po sa DOST Pag-asa, which is our National Weather Bureau, average of 20 typhoons ang pumapasok sa Philippine Area of Responsibility every year. Karamihan po sa malalakas na bagyo ay nagdudulot ng ulan at pagbaha. Katulad na lang po noong 2009 nung dumating si Typhoon Ondoy, ito ay naitala bilang 4th worst natural disaster dito sa Pilipinas in terms of people affected at 30% ng bansa ay nalagay under state of calamity due to flooding. So nung bagyong Ondoy po, yung katumbas ng 1-month rainfall ay naibuhos lang sa loob ng 6 na oras na nagresulta sa pagkamatay ng 464 na tao, 529 injured at 37 missing. At dahil po sa pinsalang dulot ni Ondoy, nagkaroon ng initiative ang government na mag-establish ng mga programa at proyekto pagdating sa weather and climate solutions. And since meron ng existing prototype si ASTI ng mga weather stations, nakitaan nyo ng potential for nationwide implementation. So, ang ASTI ang naatasan para sa development at nationwide deployment ng mga meteorological devices for disaster mitigation and preparedness. Over the years, nagkaroon ng iba't ibang development ang ating mga weather stations. Until 2011, nakapag-develop at design ang ating mga engineers sa ASTI ng data logger which is commonly known as the ARQ or the Advanced Remote Data Acquisition Unit. Ito ay ginagamit natin hanggang sa mga kasalukuyang automated weather stations. Ang main function po nitong ARQ ay ang pagkuha ng ating data sa mga sensors at ang pag-send ng data sa server through GSM or kung walang cell signal ay through satellite. So meron siyang dalawang LiPo batteries, low power microcontroller at pwede siyang ma-customize according sa needs ng gagamit. Meron po tayong iba't ibang type ng stations. First station po natin ay yung Automated Rain Gauge Station or ARG for short. So itong station po na ito ay madalas matatagpuan sa mga upland areas or matataas na lugar. Sinusukat niya po yung amount of rainfall kung malakas ba yung ulan sa isang lugar. For its components, meron siyang rain gauge sensor, controller box which contains the ARQ and batteries, solar panel for power and charging of the batteries, and satellite antenna for backup. Yun po kapag wala ng cellular signal since SMS naman po ang primary mode of communication ng ating mga stations. Next naman po na station type ay ang Automated Water Level Monitoring Station or commonly known as WLMS. Usually, pwede siyang i-partner doon sa ARG kasi itong station naman po na ito ay nilalagay sa bridges. So, ang station po na ito ay ginagamit para masukat ang water level na nakukuha natin gamit yung ultrasonic sensor. After po makuha yung data from the sensor, isesend po ito sa server ng interval ay 10 minutes. So, for this station, same lang sa ARG, meron din siyang controller box which houses the ARQ and battery, solar panel for power and charging, and satellite antenna for backup kapag wala na siyang cellular signal. Then, yung next station naman po natin ay combination ng ARG at WLMS which we call the tandem station or the Automated Water Level Monitoring Station with Rain Gauge. Dito po, sa station na to, dalawa ang makukuha natin na weather data which is rainfall at water level. Meron din po itong solar panel, controller box, na nandun yung ARQ and batteries, at meron din siyang satellite antenna. Another type of station naman po natin ay yung Automated Weather Station or AWS. So for this station, meron siyang multi-parameter sensor which is used para makuha yung mga weather parameters like temperature, humidity, pressure, wind speed, wind direction, at solar radiation. And then, meron din siyang kasama na rain gauge sensor na nagsusukat naman ng lakas ng ulan. Included din po dito yung controller box kung saan nakalagay yung ARQ and batteries. Since meron siyang batteries at deployed remotely, nilagyan ng solar panel for charging at para standalone din. So, meron din po tayong station para naman sa agricultural application. Natawag po natin itong agrometeorological station or agromet. Sa station naman na po na ito, meron siyang multi-parameter sensor na nagsusukat ng wind speed, wind direction, air temperature, air humidity, air pressure, and then meron din siyang solar radiation. Meron din siyang kasama na rain gauge, kung saan nagsusukat naman ng rain amount, duration, and intensity. At in addition dito sa mga sensors na to, naglagay tayo ng soil sensor for soil moisture and temperature as well as electrical conductivity, and then sunshine duration sensor. So, yung ARQ po natin dito, nakalagay siya sa instrument housing. Meron din siyang solar panel na for battery charging ng ating ARQ. So, for the next stations po natin, ang application naman nito ay for alerting the community. First po yung flood disaster or disaster early warning station. Itong station po na to ay ginagamit in connection with hydromet stations, which are the rain gauges, water level, and tandem. So, powered siya ng solar panel. Meron din siyang beacon for signal light and for warning as well. And then, meron siyang siren kung saan po manggagaling yung mga announcement sound kung anong level na, kung dapat na po bang lumikas. So, mamaya i-discuss po natin yun. And then, meron din siyang ARQ na nakalagay sa controller box as well as yung mga batteries. So, for this type of station po, meron siyang dalawang triggering mode. Yun yung manual override at trigger via website or web trigger. So, mga authorized personnel lang po ang pwede na mag-trigger ng mga station or mag-override for security reasons. Meron po tayong 4 na alarm level sa ating flood alerting station. So, ito po ay base sa hydrologic survey na ginawa ng Pag-asa. Iti-trigger po ang siren sa alert level kapag 40% na ang river capacity, alarm level naman kapag 60%, critical level kapag 80%, and recession level kapag less than 39% na ang river capacity or receding na ang level ng tubig. So, yung iba't ibang levels po na ito ay may iba't iba rin na message para sa paglikas. Another type of alerting station po natin ay yung Tsunami Early Warning Station or TOOS Alerting Station. So, as the name suggests po, para naman siya sa pag-notify sa residents sa coastal areas kung merong paparating na tsunami. Ang technology naman po na ito ay in partnership natin with FIVOX. And components ng station niya, meron siyang beacon, 3 omnidirectional sirens, controller box, na nandun yung ARQ natin, and batteries, and solar panel for power. So, for this type of station po, wala siyang different alarm levels, bali isa lang po ang sound ng sirens niya. Meron din po tayo dalawang triggering modes, katulad lang nung sa flood early warning natin, manual override, tsaka trigger via website. So, yun na po yung mga stations natin. Next naman po ay kung paano natin makikita yung data sa web. So, una po, kukuha muna ang ating data logger or yung ARQ ng data from the sensors at a specific time interval, say 10 minutes. Usually po yung mga rain gauge, water level, 10 minutes yung interval nila. So, every 10 minutes po, meron tayong data na ipapadala sa station through SMS, meaning text, or kapag wala naman pong cellular signal, pwedeng satellite backup. So, ipapadala po yun sa ating mga servers. Pagdating naman po ng data sa server, dito siya ipaprocess and backup. After backup and processing, pwede na po ma-view online sa website visualization ng ating mga data from the stations. Yung ibang users naman po, pwede sila mag-request ng API access para makapag-create sila ng customized visualization. Ito po yung website kung saan po natin pwede ma-view or makita yung data from the stations. philsensors.asti.dost.gov.ph. So, dun po sa philsensors, kapag clinic nyo yung home, di ba po meron siya maraming dots. So, isang dot nagre-represent siya sa isang station. So, for example, ito po, nag-click tayo ng dot at lumabas yung Surigao del Norte. So, dito po may magpa-pop up na last 24 hours data ng station natin. So, para lang po ma-appreciate or makita natin yung ilan sa benefits na pwede natin makuha from the data ng stations, ito po ay simple analysis lang ng data from rain and water level station. So, meron po tayo dito dalawang magkaibang location which is in Zamboanga and Iloilo. So, yung dotted line po na kulay black is for rainfall and then yung blue solid line ay for water level. So, if ma-observe po natin, consistent yung behavior ng dalawang river system. Ibig sabihin, halos magkaparehas lang yung behavior nila. So, makita po natin dyan yung considerable lag time between sa pag-peak ng rainfall at sa pagtaas ng ating water level. So, pag alam po natin yung behavior ng mga river system natin, pwede po tayo magkaroon ng better decision making and preparation time in times of extreme weather events. So, ito po ay on-site station reading. So, yung location ng station ay Santo Niño, Marikina City. And then, yung type niya, water level monitoring station. And then, nakuha natin yung data nung August 11, 2018. So, comparison lang po ito nung mga nakukuhang data. Nag-post si Marikina PIO ng water level gamit yung measurement sa staff gauge na 19.8 meters as of 7:56 p.m. And then, nung tinignan naman po natin siya sa field sensors, yung water level na nakuha ng station natin ay 19.94 meters for 8 o'clock p.m. So, yung next station po natin ay yung sa Buntun Bridge to Tuguegarao City. Water level monitoring station din siya noong November 12, 2020. So, ito po yung post ni Tuguegarao City Command Center. So, ginagamit po nila yung data natin from fieldSensors.asti.dost.gov.ph para po sa water level monitoring nila nung sa Tuguegarao. So, ito naman po ay ilan sa mga pictures to show kung paano po yung maintenance and troubleshooting ng ating mga stations. So, aside po from the maintenance and troubleshooting, nagpa-participate din po kami sa Information Education and Communication Campaign or IEC kasama po ni Pag-asa. So, dito po sa IEC, meron siyang presentation from experts, training and workshop, and then open forum session. So, ito po ginagawa para po ma-educate yung community kung paano po gamitin yung device effectively. So, after po nung mga presentations, the next day ay nagsasagawa naman ng flood drill para makita yung integration ng alerting station sa existing evacuation protocols ng community. So, that ends my presentation po. For other concerns and inquiries, you may reach us through these contact details po. So, ito naman po yung social media accounts and website ng ASTI Embedded Systems Group or ASTI Embedded Technologies and then Technology Licensing Office. So, yun po. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Yabut. Now we proceed to our next speaker who will talk about the Phil Sensors website. She is a graduate of the University of St. Louis in Cagayan with a degree in Information Technology. Currently, she works as a Science Research Specialist 1 at the DOST-ASTI since 2018, and her current engagements include the design, development, and maintenance of websites and production of systems manual for the project. To discuss more about the Phil Sensors website, please welcome Ms. Christine Shama A. Kureg.
Hello and good morning. I'm Christine Shama Kureg, part of visualization team at DOST-ASTI. So for today, I will be discussing the features and functionalities of Phil Sensors website. So Phil Sensors website provides access to both historical and near real-time raw data of our weather stations. We can access this using the URL philsensors.asti.dost.gov.ph. So, once na-access na po natin yung website, this will be the homepage consisting of Philippine map, legends, toggle button, and search panel. First, we have the map where all weather stations are plotted. Kung mapapansin nyo po, meron tayong icons with different colors representing all weather stations installed in the Philippines. So, ano nga ba yung mga stations na tinutukoy natin? Makikita po natin yan sa legend part ng ating homepage. Ayan. Blue for ARG, red for WLMS, green for WLMS with rain gauge or tandem station, yellow for AUS, and meron din po tayong ulat stations, white for Pipoteca, and purple for Vipoteca. Next, we have toggle button. hide and unhide platted stations on the map. Ipapakita po natin later sa demo kung paano siya nag-work. So next, we have search panel. Highlight search result by typing station's name in the search box. So auto-suggest rin po ito para mas mabilis yung pag-search ng stations. And last, we have pop-up panel. Ito po yung nag-a-appear kapag nagsisearch tayo ng station or nag-click tayo ng icon sa map. So we have sample data here from ARG station. Makikita rin po natin sa graph yung status ng stations, kung up bar siya or down, as well as the last data received ng station. And next, we have sample data as well sa WLMS stations. Same rin po siya. Makikita natin kung up ba siya or down, including the last data received ng station. Pwede rin po natin i-download yung itong chart as PNG, JPEG, SVG vector image, or PDF. Proceed naman po tayo sa PhilSensor's website natin, particularly dito sa map. Ma-access po natin siya using the URL philsensors.asti.dost.gov.ph. So, mag-start po tayo dito sa toggle button. Ito po, i-hide niya lang saka i-unhide yung mga icons natin sa map. Ayan po. So, kapag nag-click po tayo ng station dyan, automatic na hinahide niya po yung icons dun sa map. Ayan po, mapapansin nyo, yung matitira na lang na station dyan is CARG. So, kung gusto nating ibalik siya din sa map, i-click lang po natin siya. So, mapapansin natin na nag-a-appear na po ulit siya sa map. So, meron din po tayong legend dyan at yung ating search panel. So, magta-try po tayo ng isang station para makita po natin yung data niya. So, upon clicking the suggested station po, mazoom in tayo dun sa map kung saan located yung ating station. So, ayan po, naka-indicate dyan yung status niya, up as of November 18, 2020. So, kapag hinover din po natin yung map, makikita natin yung data niya for the last 24 hours. So, and downloadable rin po itong chart natin. Ayan po, magta-try tayo ng isa. Magda-download tayo ng PNG image file. So, click lang natin yan, hintayin natin. So, makikita natin sa baba na successfully downloaded na po yung ating chart. Ayan po. So, magta-try ulit tayo ng isang station. And the same. At mazoom in ulit tayo dun sa location ni station. So, may status rin siya. Up siya as of November 18, 2020. May data rin siya for the last 24 hours. Ayan po. And try na mag-download naman ng PDF file ni chart. Ayan po. Sa baba, makikita natin ulit na successfully downloaded na yung file. So, meron din po tayong ibang way para makita yung pop-up panel natin, which is by clicking the icons po dun sa map mismo. So, i-click natin siya and lalabas na po yung pop-up panel. So, dito naman po, down naman yung station natin. Ayan, status down since March 3, 2019. Ayan po yung mga data niya. Ayan po yung last data received niya. So, ayan po yung feature ng ating map sa PhilSensor's website. So, aside po sa map, meron rin tayong data visualization page sa ating PhilSensor's website, which we can view the historical raw data of the station. So, sa page po na yan, makikita natin yung total number of stations, saka yung total number of stations per station type. So, meron din tayo dyang tabular view, kung saan po makikita natin yung mga stations natin. Pwede rin po natin siyang i-filter by region or by province, saka sensor name. So, dun po sa fifth column, meron tayo dyang view button. Once na na-click po natin yan, may lalabas na modal. So, sa model po natin, meron tayo dyang stations information like yung location, yung lot long, saka yung status ni station. So, meron din tayo dyang duration na part. So, dyan tayo magse-search ng historical raw data ni station. So, next, we have the tabular view at saka yung graphical view. So, first, yung tabular view po, dyan natin makikita yung raw data ni yung station, default by latest data. So, next, we'll have yung graphical view naman po. So, sa graphical view, the same data, pero nire-represent niya lang siya using a chart. Doon naman po sa duration section ni modal, this will help us to view yung historical data ni station. So, first, we have the calendar box, yung start date, yung end date, saka yung apply or cancel button. First step, we have click calendar box. So, kapag kinlik na po natin yung calendar box, automatic may lalabas na calendar. Isa-select natin yung start date, and yung ating third step will be select the end date. So, once na na-select na po natin yung ating date range, that's the time na i-click na po natin yung apply button natin. So, kapag na-click na po natin yan, masisend na yung request. So, once na fully loaded na yung request natin, automatic po mag-a-appear sa tabular view natin yung raw data ni station. Proceed naman po tayo sa demo ni data visualization. So, makikita po natin sa page yung total number of stations, saka yung total number of stations per station type. Ayan po. Meron din tayong list of stations, dyan po, na naka-tabular view siya. Yan po yung mga stations na naka-plot before sa map natin. And pwede rin po natin siyang i-filter by region. Try natin si region 1. Ayan, naka-filter siya. Meron din yung filter. Kung gusto natin i-filter si province, andyan din po. At si sensor name. Ayan po. Pwede natin siyang i-filter by sensor name. And mapapansin nyo po dun sa fifth column, meron tayong button dyan, which is yung view data. Gagamitin po natin yan, i-click natin yan para ma-view yung data ni station. So, once na na-click po natin yan, may lalabas na modal, and i-display niya po yung first yung information ni station, location, and po elevation, lat long, saka yung sensor type, saka status. So, meron rin tayong duration part dyan. Dyan natin isa-search yung historical data ni station. Meron tayong tabular view. Ayan po. Saka si graphical view. So, si tabular view naman po, dyan ipapakita yung latest, default by latest data ni stations. Ayan po. Latest data niya. And meron din tayong graphical view. I-hover natin yan para makita yung data niya. Meron rin tayong part dyan, drop down, kung gusto natin makita yung data ng ibang parameters ni station. Ayan po. I-click lang natin yan, tapos piliin natin yung parameter. Pwede rin po natin siyang i-download. Ayan, same dun sa map natin. Ayan, na-successfully downloaded na po siya. Ayan po. So, kung gusto po natin makita yung historical data niya ni station, i-click lang po natin yung calendar box. Once na na-click natin yan, may lalabas na calendar. Ayan po. Let's say gusto natin makita yung data niya last month and yung data niya until present. So, mag-start tayo dito sa October 19 to November 19. So, once na na-click natin yung apply button, magsisend siya ng request, and hihintayin lang po nating ma-load yung requested data dito sa ating tabular view. Ayan. So, na-load na siya. Mapapansin po natin na dagdagan yung data natin. Yung data niya is from October 19, ayan po, October 19, until November 19 po. So, meron din tayong graphical view. Ayan po, makikita natin yung data niya for the last month po. Ayan. Tapos yung parameters. Ayan po. So, kung gusto nating ibalik yung data niya, dun sa previous na data niya, yung latest data, i-clear lang po natin yung button dyan. And then, babalik na po siya ulit dun sa previous data niya. Ayan po. So, that ends my discussion for today po. And sana may natutunan tayo kung paano natin gamitin yung ating PhilSensor's website. And thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ms. Christine, and again, thank you to all our ASTI technology speakers for that very informative presentation on the future developed technologies of the agency. Just as a reminder, if you have any questions for our speakers, you may send them through the chat pane or via the comment section, and our moderators will respond to you as we go through our program for today. Now, we proceed with the discussion on the technology transfer and commercialization procedure. The next speaker is from the DOST-ASTI Technology Licensing Office. Let's welcome Ms. Maria Irene Amatorio.
Okay, so this will just be a short presentation of how technology transfer and commercialization takes place in DOST-ASTI. Okay, so the Technology Licensing Office is a unit in DOST-ASTI which is in charge of protecting the intellectual property assets of the agency, as well as managing the technology transfer by means of public good, government extension, or commercialization. Okay, so this is a brochure, and I know the text is too small, but we can give you a PDF copy of our information material for further reference. Here are some of our activities. Number 1, intellectual property protection. And we also coordinate end-user license agreements, research agreements, collaborative research agreements, as well as memorandum of agreements wherein the subject technology is being promoted to be adopted by either government or private institutions. And we also do technology transfer activities focusing on public good, extension service, and licensing. Apart from that, we also lead the business negotiations, meetings with stakeholders, and other similar activities and engagements. So just to have a brief background about the process of technology transfer in ASTI, of course, it starts with a research idea, and then we will try to come in and protect the research idea if it's already possible. And then we enter into a research agreement or a memorandum of agreement or a non-disclosure agreement or any types of agreement which will further assist the researchers and protect the IP assets of DOST-ASTI. And then there goes the research and development, and upon which we again conduct another IP protection process if there are more intellectual properties involved as a result of the R&D, and we will draft the end user license for the end users, software licensing agreements or other agreements in order to distribute the outputs of the technologies. So all throughout, you would see that intellectual property is the most valued asset of our research and development products or outputs. Here are some of our activities. So this one was conducted in Bohol in 2018. So the PSTC there organized a stakeholders meeting with DOST-ASTI. So at the lower part, the picture on the lower right is the team who managed the event. You would see their attorney Ras, our technology transfer lawyer from DOST TAPI. If we would be asked who are our primary customers or the primary sectors that we serve, Of course, we serve the government agencies, local government units, government-owned and controlled corporations, as well as the academy. Okay, so due to this, we share by means of or by reason of public good, and as of the moment, these types of data are available. Number one, weather data from SEED, raw satellite images, derived geospatial data from AI for mapping. In order to access or request for certain data related to this, you have to write a letter of request addressed to the head of ASTI, submit a copy of government-issued ID, and accomplish and sign the end-user license agreement issued by ASTI TLO. Okay, for those who are interested to try Gulay, right now it was discussed that it's still on testing phase, but just in case you want to be among the first end users of the said technology, as early as now, you may, of course, submit a letter addressed to the head of the agency, accomplish a survey form for target users. This will be provided by TLO. Provide a point person for coordination, MOA between, and then we can prepare a MOA between ASTI and the academic institution later on. So ngayon po, we are accepting potential users. If you want to try or to test it, we can do this ahead of time. And of course, we also serve the private sector. So how do we do this? Of course, we do this through the commercialization process. And by means of a commercialization process, we look for private institutions who are willing to adopt the technologies through the FOB process. So here are the summary of terms of some of the technologies that were discussed earlier. The first one is the ERP, which was discussed by Ms. Larios, and the upfront fees for this, if you are the first one who will adopt this, is waived. For the royalty payments, it will be 7.5% of the gross sales, and this will be paid every year. For the minimum revenue, we can negotiate and discuss the details through a private meeting with the TLO and or the researchers. For AI for mapping, the same terms apply. Okay, so we are focusing our marketing in four MASID technologies. We are hoping to get licensees for the four stations. The first one is the tsunami alerting station. The upfront fee is 63,000, and this shall be paid upon signing the technology licensing agreement. The royalty payments for this is 5% of the gross sales, and this shall be paid annually. And for the minimum revenue, we have 126,000, which shall be paid on the end of each year. So for disaster early warning system, the upfront is 139,000 upon signing the TLA. 5% is the royalty, and the minimum revenue per year is 139 to be paid at the end of each year. Please take note that the upfront fees are creditable as minimum revenue for the first year, and the minimum revenue is creditable to annual sales or the royalty payments. So mukha siyang malaki, pero actually it's like more of an advance payment rather than additional payments. Okay, so if you need details, we can discuss that through private meetings. Next slide, please. And we also have the automated weather station. It has the same terms in terms of upfront fees. I'm sorry, the upfront fees, we don't have any upfront fees for this, but you should be able to pay within 60 days upon signing a project contract or a client contract. So the royalty payments is 5% of the gross sales to to be paid per year, and every year you have to have 250,000 pesos minimum revenue. So, ibig sabihin po nito, since we don't have a licensee yet for AWS, gumagawa kami ng special offer para po sa mga gustong mag-adapt ng technology na to. And then for Agromet, it's also the same, waived upon signing of TLA, yung upfront fees, the gross sales, the royalties payments is 5%, and the minimum revenue per year is 300,000. Next slide, please. So additional members for MASIG, the license to sell and maintain the stations is for 3 years, and this is renewable. Field of use is meteorological data, territories, Philippines. And for tsunami early warning system, we had some meetings with FIVOX, and they are very supportive to the introduction of tsunami early warning to other government institutions and organizations who are interested. But they want to have a partnership with the licensee who will produce it, because they will have several activities that would help the local government units in promoting the technology. So here are some of the benefits of the licensee. It's an end-to-end solution. You can, of course, use the field sensor as of the moment in order to see the data that you have gathered in your own weather station. The licensee may also opt to package the stations with their own servers. So if you want to put up your own DRRM headquarters, you can use the stations, no? And you can also maintain the 2,211 stations that are already deployed nationwide. So ito po, yung pag-maintain, of course, you have to negotiate with the owners or enter into a contract with Pag-asa. So ito po, tinitignan namin as potential additional revenue. So ang revenue po is not only on selling the stations but also on maintaining. And of course, you get free consultation services in the first year. So if you have questions these are the licensing requirements. I know you need the documents in detail. We can send you the list for your reviews. If you have questions on licensing or on the end user license agreements for public good purposes, you can send us an email or set an appointment with the TLO and researchers for a virtual meeting. Here is our email address, tlo@asti.dost.gov.ph. Thank you po, and looking forward to a fruitful collaboration.
Thank you, Ms. Amatorio. To further learn how these developed technologies has helped its partners, collaborators, and stakeholders, allow us to show you some of the testimonials from our licensees through this video.
ACE Electronic Technology Incorporated was started its operation in 1972 as Alexan Commercial. Throughout these years, it supplied electronic components, equipment, tools, kits to the educational and industrial sector of the local market. The company believes in the talents of Filipino engineers. 20 years ago, we have already partnering with various different government agencies and produce products like the gray moisture meter, the digital multimeter, the taximeters, and one of the successful products we partnering with is with ASTI of DOST. which is the Remote Data Acquisition Unit, or simply ARQ. This unit is an ARQ unit. At the bottom of it, it has several connectors to be connected to the input sensors or the output devices such as the siren. This is an ultrasonic sensor for water level measurement, and this is a rain gauge sensor to measure the amount of rainfall. And they can combine together depends on the function, like this one at the back. This is a semi-completed unit. The ARQ is placed in this compartment for waterproof or weatherproof. And inside this rain gauge, inside this ARQ unit, it has internal battery, and it was supplemented by it can be supplemented by the solar panel, which also reduce the dependency on the internal battery. The data gathered from the sensors was recorded at a very regular time interval and transmitted to the central server, which the data can be used by the stakeholders like the weather forecasters, the farmers, and others. We are very thankful for ASTI for inviting ACE Electronics to into this project ever since its inception. During the prototyping and the pre-commercialization period, we saw already how helpful are the data gathering by this data logger, the ARQ unit, to mitigate calamities and reduce the damages. And since Philippines has a long history of calamities annually, we think the market of this will be great for the company, and that's why we decided to license this product. And we also, as a company, we are very proud of the talent of Philippine engineers, especially these locally designed engineers. So we do committed to help and partner with our government agencies in the future endeavor.
I'm Lester Jan Ditaya, owner, proprietor of Jarka Construction and Supply. I would like to discuss you the history of our company. 6 years since its establishment, Jarka Construction has continued to provide innovative, sustainable, and top quality construction services in the Philippines. We are growing at a rapid pace and are continuously leading the innovation of architecture design, construction in the engineering and architectural sectors. We are deeply committed to living up to our tagline, building visions, creating reality, because we believe that placing our clients' interests before our very own is a valued service that uphold integrity, honor, and trust that we are pleased to embody. We made this possible through the combination of an open relationship with our employees and clients while providing them top-of-the-line quality services with the application of the latest technologies in our projects. It is our goal to deliver the highest quality services to our clients, ensuring that they are being served by the most qualified know-hows and best workers in the field. Our mission is to help customers fulfill their dream of owning sophisticated and technologically advanced equipment and structures, allowing us to further strive for growth and innovation. We, the Jarka Construction Company, believe that we can be your most valuable and most trusted partners in building your dreams. We do not go for standard outputs, we go beyond it. Jarka Construction will continue to provide value-driven, exemplary services, not just for our own growth, but for you as well. I would like to introduce Joseph Rodriguez, our head of the technology department.
I'm Joseph Rodriguez, head of technology department of Jarka, and we are applying for the 3 technologies from DOST-ASTI. One is the automated range gauge, 2 the tandem station, and the third is the water monitoring level or water level monitoring station. So these are the three technologies that JARCA wanted to apply in your good office, because we find the good opportunities of these times of disaster crisis in the Philippines, and we are engaging with different levels of LGUs in Mindanao and Visayas, and these opportunities that the DOST-ASTI has been given to JARCA to become a licensee on your technologies is a great help for our brothers and sisters here in Mindanao and Visayas who are always victims from the different disasters coming every year in the Philippines, like typhoons, earthquake, and storm surge.
Thank you, DOST-ASTI, for giving us the opportunity to apply the license and opportunity for us to deliver our services. God bless you.
Thank you to our licensees. And that's all the time we have. Thank you for all the questions from our participants. For any additional questions you may want to ask about the DOST-ASTI technologies, please message us through the DOST-ASTI Facebook page or through our communications unit, and anyone from the team will try to answer them. And that ends the DOST-ASTI Technology Transfer Webinar. On behalf of the DOST-ASTI, thank you very much for being with us this afternoon. This has been Nicole Chavez, your moderator for today's event. Stay safe and healthy and have a great week ahead.